Hey everybody, this is Colin Reese. I wanted to make a video talking about why Sebastian Lletget has haters in the USMNT national team fan base and why they're so off base. So the formation that the US normally uses, like ideally this is what Greg Berhalter prefers to use, is the 4-3-3 formation. And in the midfield he has Tyler Adams as the 6 at the base of the midfield. And then in front of him and flanking him, there's Weston McKennie either on the right or the left, and then Sebastian Lletget is on the other side. And when the team is like this, McKennie and Lletget are basically occupying the right and left portion of the midfield, as opposed to having, say, Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams at the base of the midfield, and then having Sebastian Lletget as the point of the triangle in front of them as the 10 or the attacking midfielder. And that would ideally be the best setup, because Tyler Adams is a 6 and Weston McKennie is an 8 and Sebastian Lletget is a 10. So what's normally happening is Lletget and McKennie are kind of out wide. And then, so when Lletget receives the ball, frequently the only pass is just forward, like kind of up the sideline. And frequently that's a pretty clogged area. And if he plays it, say, to like Gio Reyna over there on the right, Reyna's kind of somewhat pinned to the sideline. And if Lletget's on the left, then he can play it up to Pulisic, who's playing wide. And the problem is Greg Berhalter's deploying his front three where Pulisic and Reyna are wide, just like McKennie and Lletget, and none of them are dropping. So neither Reyna or Pulisic are dropping into the middle to be the 10. And I know I mentioned Lletget as the 10 in the midfield, but one of the ways to have an attacking front three is to have a playmaker behind two strikers. And the US hasn't been doing that. They've been having Reyna and Pulisic out wide, and all these guys haven't started together because of injuries or Pulisic having COVID, and then Reyna getting injured after the El Salvador game. So we actually haven't, I don't think, seen all like 5 of these guys on the field together in a while. I could be wrong, but I don't think they've been together. And so what's happening is all our creative players are out wide, and Lletget's there too. So Lletget, there's this big hole in the middle in between like the midfield and the attack. So when Lletget gets the ball, there's not like Pulisic or Reyna in the middle there to pass too quickly or to like slip it through to the strikers. So normally Lletget, like I was mentioning earlier, is out wide somewhere, and he's kind of pinned where he is, and he doesn't have that space to operate in the middle of the field. And then, like I said, when he plays it to Reyna or Pulisic, both of them are playing wide, and they're kind of, over by the sideline and trying to cut in. So there's this enormous hole in the middle of the field. And the reason you're not seeing Lletget play as many of these like final balls and forward passes is because, like I said, he's out wide, and it's he's kind of pinned out there, and there's this big hole in the middle. So you heard all the Lletget haters complaining that he wasn't playing incisive forward passes, but it's because where he was on the field. And then when you saw him in a more forward position or after subs were made in games, you saw him more involved in the attack and setting up shots, and also being there to pounce on a rebound to score at the far post. And the main thing that's really wrong with Sebastian Lletget haters is that Sebastian Lletget's technical ability is way beyond most of our players, except for Christian Pulisic and Gio Reyna. And a lot of our fans are kind of delusional, and they think that we have all these super technical and creative players, and we really don't. Even someone like Brendan Aronson's got a different skill set than Lletget. He's faster than Lletget, and he's really good at bursting forward, and you've seen him score a variety of goals, and he's really dangerous because of his speed and dribbling at pace, and he's a lot faster than Lletget, but he's not as good at passing as Lletget, and although he's a faster dribbler, so you kind of see him eating up more of the field, Lletget's got more 1v1 trickery and dribbling ability than Aronson. And so they're totally different players, and you need Aronson closer to the goal as like a second striker or as a wing where he can get the ball and pick up speed and cut in. So it was really misguided when people were saying, oh, Brendan Aronson's got to play as one of the eights in the midfield. When he did that, he got kind of rocked and just wasn't really involved. And then once he was put closer to goal, he was more effective, and he had a really good finish, a really brave finish against Honduras in the third game, because the defender was coming in and he smashed that in, and he was really brave and pouncing on that, and then smashing it and curling it in. So that was really good. But so in general, the U.S. Men's National Team fans that are Lletget haters, they really don't understand what they're watching, and they don't see that Lletget's first touch and his dribbling and passing and scoring ability is way higher than most of the players. And they've been kind of scapegoating him because they didn't think his passes were incisive enough. And as I was explaining, he was kind of playing out wide in the midfield. And of course, as a central midfielder, he was frequently, like in between 40 and 70 yards from the goal. And when he was closer, you saw him doing more creative, incisive passes. So this was just a fundamental misunderstanding of just how soccer's played, and just a fundamental identification of someone's talent level. So any of these fans parroting this, they really just weren't looking at Lletget's overall ability, and they are blaming him for something he couldn't control too much, which was the way the team was set up. And as I mentioned, when Berhalter continues to have this 4-3-3 with either Pulisic and Reyna out wide as the wings in the attack, and then McKennie and Lletget playing flanking Tyler Adams and kind of occupying the right and left part of the field. And this obviously didn't happen in every game because of the injuries and everything. But when Berhalter has it set up like this, there's this huge hole in the middle, and there's less space to operate, and you're making Lletget do all this running when really he's a number 10 that works better closer to goal. So he's expending a lot of energy running all over the place. And then when he receives the ball, there's not people moving off the ball, or people to play it to because he's pinned more to the sides. And so that's what you're seeing with Lletget. And as soon as he was kind of in different areas, and he was closer to goal and more central or closer to goal, you saw him more effective in playing these incisive passes. That's why all this Lletget haterade was totally off base. So I think now Lletget's kind of shut up a lot of the haters, but not all of them. And the ones that are still lingering, they don't really understand, the formation and the tactical problem with having this humongous hole in the middle of the field, and in between the midfield and the attack having no link, and having Reyna and Pulisic or whoever it is playing out wide as wings. So they're not even in the middle either to kind of link the central midfielders with the other forwards. So ideally we'd have a number 10 behind Ricardo Pepi, and then a second striker like Pulisic. So that's what's going on, and that's what's the deal with the Lletget haterade. So you should stop with the Lletget haterade, because it just looks like you don't know what you're talking about, and the US is not good enough to ridicule someone of Lletget's technical ability. He's just way too good, and we really need him. And it's been off base the whole time. And because of where he was playing, he wasn't in the best position to be more creative and involved, and he was wasting a lot of energy, tracking back in the midfield. So that's what was going on. So thanks everyone for tuning in. See you next time.